Welcome to CONEXEC, a global leadership platform for construction executives. Today, I have with me a man near and dear to my heart, Justin Roberts. Justin, how you doing?
I'm good. And yourself?
Good. Justin's with Buffalo Construction, and rather than I introduce him and I'll let him introduce himself and introduce his company. So, Justin, tell us about yourself and tell us about Buffalo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Scott, thanks for having me. First and foremost, if anybody wants to pass any judgment on me, I am a student of Scott's. So, I am a product of Scott. So this is, it's kind of interesting going from the classroom decades ago and now in the construction world. But after I graduated Eastern Kentucky, construction management program, got into more industrial manufacturing, went and worked with Gray Construction. Did that for about 8-9 years. After that, traveled around a lot, came back home to Louisville, Kentucky, joined a smaller local firm, got into more commercial, heavy commercial, hotels, multifamily, and then joined the Buffalo team when they needed help in that sector. And right now, I'm our director of pre-construction business development on the kind of the hotel, hospitality, multifamily, student housing side. So that's kind of my quick background.
Are you from Louisville?
I am.
Okay, I knew there was something wrong with you. So I mean, I knew there was. But let me ask you: are you a UK fan or a Cardinal fan?
Oh, Cards, baby! Got season tickets. Come on.
Well, I mean, everyone's got to root for somebody, whether they're winner or losers, you know. So
that's right. That's right.
So tell us about Buffalo real quick. I know you haven't been with them for a really long time, but I know you jumped in knee deep.
Yeah. So knew a bunch of the guys here at Buffalo previously, actually through my gym, but joined about a year and a half ago. Buffalo got their start about 25 years ago through Texas Roadhouse. They were the in-house construction company for Texas Roadhouse. They built all their own stores. No franchisee was allowed to build their own. The brand built it to keep it consistent. Once Roadhouse went public, obviously they had to split apart, and Buffalo Construction was founded. And Texas Roadhouse wasn't the only restaurant we were doing, so we started getting into all the fast casual restaurants. What that did was it allowed Buffalo to expand their footprint. So based here in Louisville, Kentucky, but did at the time very little work here locally. Most of their work was in all the major cities across the U.S. Now our main accounts are still Texas Roadhouse, Chick-fil-A, Love's Travel Stations, Circle K, and now into the hotels, student housing. So kind of took that, our core values, our business model from the Texas Roadhouse way of doing things, and just kind of expanded on that and grown throughout the years. So Buffalo is now probably one of the top commercial construction companies here locally for those sectors.
So tell us about Roman.
So Roman is our mascot. We actually have a Buffalo mascot. If the interns act up on site, they get to dress up as Roman for the day, and it is a hot suit. So whenever we have some PR needs or marketing needs, we bust out Roman, and he is our mascot because our CEO, Scott Greger, didn't want his name on everything. So whenever we sign letters or make posts in the public PR, it's done by Roman, who represents our company as a whole and all of our people.
That's kind of funny. And I cracked up when at first somebody told me, yeah, talk to Roman. And I was like, and then I went on the website and I saw there's a picture of the buffalo, you know, and I was like, well, maybe this is a person because it's listed as a founder. So I thought that was kind of hilarious. So
Definitely different.
I heard you guys get phone calls for Roman.
We do. Sales guys, you know if they're serious or not, whether or not they call and ask for somebody by name or they ask for Roman. You know, they ask for Roman. We got a voicemail account just for them. So.
Oh my gosh, that's great. That's great. So, what do you know in for Buffalo? What significant events have you been made aware of that have kind of changed the business model and then the past and the future? You mentioned one. That's when Texas Roadhouse went public. Kind of expand upon any other events you think. And you probably guys have some pretty significant events happening right now, from what I hear.
We do. So, there's as with any growth of any company or any individual, there's always significant events along the way. I would say, back 25 up to about 15 years ago, it was our owner and CEO, Scott Greger. He was the project manager. He was the head accountant. He was the executioner. He was the lead super, field quality control, business development. He wore all the hats. And then it got to a point in growth, and I would say that's probably right around the time of the recession, to where that wasn't feasible anymore. The company had just gotten too big. So since then, he's actually put in place a leadership team. We've put together an actual vision, not just go, build as fast as we can, as good as we can, and keep our clients happy. It was actually, let's put some thought behind this on how we can grow our business, how we can build better, how we can keep our clients happy. And, Roadhouse, Chick-fil-A, Love's, those guys have been clients for decades, and that doesn't happen by accident. I think the one of the turning points would be, and Scott will be the first one to tell you, he got sober and he went through his sobriety stuff and he found kind of EOS models, the EOS system. He found that if he invested in his people more, that would return tenfold back as if you just work harder. And I think at that point, Buffalo went through, let's see how big we can get. And we chased, not only Texas Roadhouses and Chick-fil-A's, we were doing, build outs for Chipotle. We're doing, all these real small TI, fast casual jobs, trying to grow our company. And then we quickly realized that, we're doing $200+ million a year, but our average project size is $1 million. There's something wrong there. So at that point, we made a conscious effort as a company to increase our project size, increase our just kind of the markets that we focus in. We were so focused on the food and beverage part of the of commercial construction, then we got into the fuel sector, and then we got into the hospitality sector. So we kind of diversified what we're good at and what we're known for. Through all of that leadership team coming around, focusing more on our people, bringing in the right people as well has a big thing to do with it. Company didn't have core values. We didn't know what our core values and our purpose statement is, our why, why we're here, why do we do what we do every day. And, it's, we call it our herd why. We are the herd. We're Roman, we're the buffalo, you're a teammate of the herd. And it's our why is to leave a prosperous impact on the relationships, people, and the communities we serve, because we are all over the country. And that's our why. If we follow that and keep that at the forefront, you don't lose sight of why we do what we do every day. It's very easy to come into work and get bogged down in the details. And but if you kind of keep that, I've got it posted right here above my computer screens. I see it every day. And then we got our 4 core values, continuous improvement, commitment, compassion, and celebration. Continuous improvement, stay hungry. We always wanting to do better. If you get complacent, complacency is on your way out. If you get complacent, you're going to be left behind. And our commitment And we've done this on a lot of projects. We may not make money because we have to do the right thing. We're committed to making sure we're doing the right thing. And if you do the right thing, that pays itself. That comes back around in other ways, and not just, financially and monetarily. Compassion, care about others and live it, or care about others and live it. I think that goes to the caring about our people, making sure our people enjoy their workspace. Scott, you've been to our office. You know how much there's more areas to play and hang out and go down the slide or go putt or play ping pong or pool or whatever it may be. But be compassionate about your teammates and make sure we have a good environment for everybody. And then celebration, honor, recognize, and appreciate. When people do a good job, everybody likes a good pat on the back. And I think once we got our core values and figured out what those are, our purpose statement, our why, everything else started kind of falling in place, and you can kind of build out from there. So I think that was probably, past events. The biggest one would be, putting the focus on our people. Let's get our structure in place, the right people in the right chair, so that you can build on that and build on it the correct way and not just go as fast as you can.
Let me ask you, and I know EOS, because that's something that we utilize too. A lot of great principles. You mentioned a lot of them: right person, right seat, core values, mission and vision statements, those things. And you guys really believe in it. I was really impressed when I actually came into you guys' office and saw, some of the things that you guys do, personality profiles, those type of things. And from our background, working in construction that didn't have that stuff, it's kind of a little shock to your system a little bit when you come into there. And I know me and you have had this discussion about that too. It was hard for me at first because it seems really kind of touchy feely at first, Yep. But what can you tell us about what your thoughts are surrounding that?
Yeah, it's funny. I started in the construction industry probably in middle school. I think I was probably working for my uncle, built homes here in Louisville. And I'll never forget it. We're in the truck. He picked me up because I couldn't even drive. So he picked me up, take me to the job sites, and I'd work. Before we got out on my first day, he said, "Justin, I'll let you know there's no place for feelings on a job site. So leave them in the truck. Don't take them with you." And, it's funny. I had that mentality for a long, long time. And I got here and I'm like, wait a minute, there is room for that. It's okay. You've got people from all walks of life. You have to care about their feelings. If you don't care about them, they're gonna be miserable. They're not gonna perform at work, and they're not gonna perform at home. And that's a good way to lose your teammates. And it was a challenge for me. I am a very aggressive type A person, and let's go get it. Let's get it done. But to be able to step back and say, let me think about this from a different point of view, was a challenge. And when I came to Buffalo, it started with our onboarding. We want to make sure that all our employees have a great onboarding experience, and they get to see the company top to bottom for a whole week. Mm-hmm. When you come here and you start, you don't do any work for a week. You are here, you're listening to speakers, most all from here in our company, some outside. You're getting a high level overview of every department and their functions and who does what and where's, if you have a question on Procore, if you have a question on accounting, or if you have a question on human resources, where do you go to find all that? Who are the people that are important and where can you go? And then we implemented a thing called the UMAPs, and it's one sheet, and it's mine's posted outside my office, and 2/3 of it is about you as a person. It's what's important to you, and then the other third of it is professional. Your professional goals, your stuff like that. But the focus of it is about you as a person. What's your family? Who's important to you? What are your personal goals, near term, long term? What's your favorite snack? What's your favorite drink? What's your favorite activity? You know, all the stuff that makes you you. Those are the first things we go over. So we bring in some of our current teammates. They go over their UMAPs and present to the our new teammates through onboarding. Scott Greger makes it a point to always be there and go through his. It's powerful. You know, you get people to break down their barriers immediately on the first day of starting a new job. So it's like, I'm sure it's overwhelming for a lot of people, and we've actually had some people walk out. I had somebody on the first day, second day did not show up. They said, there's you're too worried about people and feelings, and I just want to come to work and I don't want to know my coworkers. Well, you know what? You're not meant to be here. There's not a right chair for you. So, you know, we take it seriously. We want to know who we're working with, what makes them tick, who they are. You know, we also do the predictive analysis or predictive index personality tests on people to understand, you know, are you a more independent, or are you more social, or are you a more precise person in how you think and operate, and we'll use that information and pair our teams together. You know, if you have two people that are going to butt heads because they're just two type A dominant personalities, well, it probably doesn't make sense to put them on a project team together. You know, you can mix personalities that best combine and work together to really get the best results. So put a lot of focus on who our teammates are as people before we get into, you know, capabilities and, you know, what their strengths are on the work side. So I think that really goes to show, you know, look, I'm just kind of glancing around our office, you know, just the people that we have. You know, we've got a good group of people that are eager to help one another out, be collaborative, and it goes a long way.
Well, it's funny how much things have kind of changed a little bit, and I kind of Justin, I won't put you in the category of younger people anymore. I mean, you know, based number one, based on how you look, and number two, based on how long you've been in the construction industry. But you know,
younger than you, though.
Yeah, I know. Yes, and I guess I'm the old guy at this point. But the fact is that younger people don't want to just work someplace; they want to make a significant impact. You know, and that's a hard thing because I mean, I grew up where you went to work, and even though you liked it or didn't like it, you went to work to make money and provide for your family. But it's much more than that today, and I hear it all the time. You know, if you want to attract and keep people, you got to have a good culture.
Yeah.
So and I know because I've been in there, you guys definitely do have a good culture. I was on your website and I'm looking at a couple of your people. You guys have some creative titles here, and I wonder what this title is. What is a culture curator?
Culture curator. So you segued right into it. It's perfect. So Addie is our culture curator, and she is her number one really responsibility is that onboarding. You know, when people come on board, she sets the tone of, you know, this is who we are, this is what we're about. You know, for instance, when I started, my fiance, she at the time was my girlfriend. She lived in Nashville. She was remote. And when I accepted the position with Buffalo, this person who had never met asked me, you know, for my girlfriend's mailing address, and they sent her.
And you said for what?
I know. I was a little hesitant at first. I was like, I need to filter this out first, but they sent her a dozen roses and told her that she's part of the team too, and we can't wait to have her and meet her. Who does that? You know, awesome. that is insane, and that is a testament to show, like, we do, you know, people here care, and they want you to be, you know, you spend more time at work than you do with your own family most times, and shoot, you better like them, you know, and you better have good relationships and strong ties, because things will go wrong. There will be hard days. And, if you enjoy and trust and rely on the people around you, because of that culture that you're talking about, and that culture curator has helped establish, the opportunities and the possibilities are endless.
That's so interesting, because it's if you told me this is where we would be 20 years ago, I'd say you're crazy, So, but it's been proven effective. I mean, it really has. It's a way to run an organization, that's for sure. Because people care a lot less what you say and a lot more what you do, and those actions are important. It's kind of like your kids. When I'm dead and gone, my kids will remember me hopefully for the good things. But
Yeah.
So you kind of went into the whole, talking about your guys' business model. You mentioned something that would interest me. You guys had been doing projects on $1 million shots, and you're kind of mixing up a little bit, or you're focusing on different things. Can you kind of tell me the idea that what's an ideal client for you guys now?
Yeah, great question. The ideal client now is not how much work in your pipeline. It's not, can we be the most profitable job in the world? We're general contractors. We claw, we fight, and we struggle to make 3%, right? 4% on large project. It's tough. If I could die and come back, I would not come back as a general contractor. I'd go to a different industry where I could make 200% on products like Apple does, or any tech firm. But the ideal client for us is based on relationships. It's all about, is this somebody that, if I'm in trouble or if they're in trouble, because things will go wrong on projects, can we rely on one another and get through this and be fair with one another? And that goes to show with our core clients, Chick-fil-A, Texas Roadhouse, Love's Travel Stations, Circle K. A lot of those are negotiated. Darden restaurants, we do a lot for them, and repeat clients in the hotel industry. I've got real estate funds that are going to build 10 hotels over the next 2 years, and they just want to call one person, and they appreciate those relationships and the fact that they understand how we operate and what's important to us, because they share the same core values. And I think that is where we look for. If we're somebody that's cold, doesn't want to build a relationship, doesn't want to get to know one another, they just want the dirt bottom cheapest number possible, that's not who we want to build with.
Well, that's so short-sighted. I mean, it's I always say you have friends for many things, but one of the reasons you have friends is when you get in trouble, you need a friend. And we get in trouble in construction all the time.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And
a lot of it's self-inflicted.
I know. And you said one other thing that reminded me. We're gonna have issues. That's given. I mean, especially when you build something. I mean, you can't build a building, or we can't build a facility, or can't do any construction without having some issues. Right. But it's how you deal with them that counts. It doesn't matter if you have them or not, And I know that's something, talking with Scott and talking with others there, Brett and others there, that's that's a key tenet of how you guys do business. Eric and Brett and Scott and pretty much everybody there. It's about how you address those issues, and because people want to be heard, and people want to. What I mean by being heard is some action on your statement, not just a statement. Right. So, no, what how you mentioned EOS. You guys kind of use your EOS model. How are you guys focusing on the future? What's your guys' plans? In short term, 5 or 10 years, long term, to do with your guys' organization?
So, it's August 12th. We're about to, here in about 3 or 4 weeks, we'll do our annual deep dive. We get all the department heads together. We get our from CEOs, CFOs, COOs, and then all of our directors, seniors, and even bring in some of our project management staff or superintendents to give their input as well. But we do an annual deep dive. We touch base on where we were for a little bit, spend a little time on what we were last year. Did we meet our goals? Where we want to go next year? And what do we look for? What do we look at 5 years from now? What does Buffalo look like in 5 years? And so we did that last October, and we're about to do it again here. We're actually all kind of putting our pieces of the pie together so that we're prepared for that. And I think it's really going to come down to, taking care of our core departments, core clients, the ones I keep talking about, Roadhouse, Chick-fil-A, Love's, making sure those accounts are strong, teams are strong, they're not overloaded, they've got a little bit of capacity at all times. We put a work, kind of diving off, we put a work factor load on a PM of 1, and every job gets a workload factor. So Texas Roadhouse gets a 0.33. So I know that a PM can run 3 of them and be right at a 1, and that's his max. You can't give him any more, or else he's in the red and he's gonna just tap out on you, and it can happen. And we like everybody to be like a 0.8. If we get everybody like a 0.8, 0.9, they're not completely slammed, but they got a good solid workload. That's how we like to plan and build our team. So, the thing about our core clients, they kind of tell you what projects are coming a year from now because they do the same thing. They're projecting out how many builds they're going to have. So you can kind of get a pretty good game plan. So making sure our core business is strong. That's our first, real step into going into the future. The next side of it is the kind of secondary core markets. Hospitality being one of them. We're 4 or 5 years into it. We're fairly new, and that's where my background, my last place came from. So my job, another guy that came on as well, and our goal is to really build that out. One of the things that Buffalo is one of the things that we want to improve on is our ability to build here locally. We're all over the country, and Louisville, Kentucky general contractor, highest revenue states, California. Well, let's build in our own backyard. So we want to expand our local design build efforts. That's kind of my background. We want to build out our design teams to make us more of a one-stop shop that way. The other one is to, go after those large multifamily jobs, go after those large hotels, not just the ones off the side of the interstate, but also the ones in an urban setting that, may categorize as a high rise. So, the project diversity is where we really want to expand and grow over the next 5 years. Our 5-year goal right now, we want to pretty much grow 10 to 20% every year. We'll probably push over we'll finish this year right around 230 million total revenue. And, our 5-year goal is to be at 325. And obviously you want to make sure that's done correctly, the right way, the right mix of projects, making a good fee, making sure that we have the right team in place to handle that work. You don't want to hire a bunch of people to do it. And you never know, when you hire from outside, you don't know what you're going to get. So it leads to the next thing, and that's the people to do all of that. One big effort that we've made here is really building out our younger teammates. Buffalo, at the thought of an intern 5 years ago, had never come across Buffalo Construction. We had 5 this last year, and had some phenomenal interns, guys and girls that knocked it out of the park. A couple of them actually signed offer letters before they went back to school for their semester, or their next 2 semesters, their senior year. They're going to come on as full employees. That goes to speak to our culture. That goes to speak to the experiences they had. But if you can grow organically with people that start out of college or out of trade school or wherever it comes from, start with you and a young and learn, then learn how to build on site first, learn how we operate as a business and grow organically. That's the best recipe, and that's how we'll grow as a company to meet our financial goals, our core value goals, and really complete our purpose statement. So.
Well, and I think I was talking to Scott one day, and he was telling me, Scott Greger, which is your guys' president, which
Yep.
but my listeners don't. So he was telling me that, we were laughing about how, like, in the past we did business and how we're doing business now using some of the EOS principles and stuff like that. And Scott said, he goes, well, we did 200 million without having any of this stuff. So I guess when we have this stuff, we should do much better. And I thought there's a lot to be said for that. And the fact that you guys like assess projects and don't just, hey, I got a project and I'm going to throw it to somebody. And that is such like a huge thing, because you and I know that if you're a good PM, you'll continue to get loaded and loaded and loaded down until you start messing up, because you can't do anymore. Or you quit and go somewhere else. And the fact that you guys consciously, think about those things as projects come in is pretty significant. And probably it's kind of a something that more people I think need to do. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we meet all of our department heads and all of our leadership team. We meet weekly. And we look at our forecast. A lot of our projects are 12 weeks to 20-week time frames. So they're very fast and very fast paced. A lot of our, construction or hotel projects, those are more pushing towards a year plus. It's a little different on the different markets that we're in and sectors that we're in, but we're always loading up our forecast based on concept, and we assign a project manager for the estimate, not just when it goes to a contract and ready to be built. We assign them to the estimate up front so that they're involved in the pre-construction phase. And there's a workload assigned with that. We assign a superintendent. We know where he's going to be and where he's at. And it all filters down to the bottom. And everybody has a row, whether they're superintendent or a project manager. And you can see that, hey, I've got Scott here as a project manager. And right now he's only got 2 jobs. He shouldn't be that bad, but I've got him assigned in February of 2022 to another start that I know is coming. And he's in the red in March and April because he's got 2 jobs closing out and 1 starting up that he's trying to buy out. He's overloaded. That doesn't work. So we can see that from a planning purpose, and we're very, very intentional, very, very methodical about it, very conscious of people's workloads. Do we get it right every time? Absolutely not. Do projects come in from our great customers that we just can't say no to? Yes. And do we have to pony up sometimes and just go do it? Absolutely. But that's a good problem to have. But at least we know and we can address it and talk to our employees about it, our teammates, and say, hey, I know this is going to be a rough couple of months. Are you okay with that? And if not, let me know and we'll find a different route. But let's talk about it first and make sure that you can handle it. B, do you need an extra project coordinator? Do you need an extra APM or a project engineer? What can we do to help, dilute some of that workload and help you out? So it lets us have those conversations and know that what we're getting into before we get there. And it's too late and you lose somebody, just like you said.
And you know what, and I hate to say it, but more times than not, as general contractors, we probably lose people because we just put too much on their shoulders, and we're terrible in construction about that because, and I know some people are going to say I'm touchy-feely, and anybody who knows me knows that's not the case. But the fact that people, you consider people in the factor, and I also think it's not short-sighted because, what's the number one way projects fail? And that's because there's not enough attention, given to them, especially from the management staff. So that's good. It's kind of moving on from that. Let's talk about you as an individual a little bit here, which is scary.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
Yeah, but uncharted waters there. Let's really get into it.
But you have some I mean, and Justin, I'll say this without your head getting big, because first of all, if you don't know Justin, there's not much hair there, and if it gets any bigger, I mean, we may have to dull the glare, So
my in-laws call me Chrome Dome. So there's a new nickname for you.
so tell me about, personally and professionally, some of your failures and some of your successes you've had in your career, because obviously we learn from failures, or you can call them learning experiences, but we also learn from successes too. And I just want to know personally, what is some of the things that you have gathered along the way that have helped you?
Great question. I would say on the successes and failures, successes probably, I'll lead this in with a quick story. I graduated in May 2009, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there were no construction jobs in May 2009. There just weren't. You're a new graduate, you had an internship for experience. There are very little jobs out there. I got an offer from a heavy civil contractor down in Florida, and that was the only one I had. It was after I graduated. I said, yep, I'll take it. I'm moving to Orlando. And that was what I was doing. I was on the road, driving down there, going to pick out an apartment, sign my papers. And my first employer called, Gray Construction, they called. And I ended up turning around and went to Gray. Best success ever. I can't say enough good things about that company, the people, the leadership, the Gray family, and not just the people with the last name Gray, the entire Gray family. Learned a lot about culture, learned a lot about how you have to be deliberate and meaningful there in what you do, but also learned a lot about large projects, large teams. I mean, we were doing, I don't know, my last project when I left was right around 100 million. I was a PM at 29 years old, 31 years old, however old I was, something like that. And, that experience was invaluable. I think that goes to a lot of what I'm doing now, is being able to put together teams. When I got to Buffalo, a Texas Roadhouse that's built in 4 months does not have a lot of overhead or GC room for more than one project manager. So Buffalo didn't know what a assistant PM was. They didn't know what a project engineer was. I've hired 4 assistant PMs in the last 6 months, and I'm hiring project engineers faster than I can imagine, just because we have that right project mix now. And what I've learned from Gray through and through was invaluable, and it's made me a better leader in my current position to see how I was led then. Learning from example there, I think goes to show. I've had people follow me from place to place, and I guess that goes to show I'm doing something right. Not to pat myself on the back, but I attribute that to Gray Construction. Failures.
Well, it's funny about Gray, how many people in Kentucky in construction are tied to Gray ultimately.
Oh, it's incestual.
Like Tommy Gum, and I go through people and I just think, gosh, it seems like everything leads back to Gray's steps.
Yeah, and their core value, and they had core values before that was a thing. 15 years ago, the core values were beat into me. We started every meeting talking about the core values. And
you're thinking, what a big waste.
Yeah, at the time when I was out of college, like, I'm doing this every time. Like, this is stupid. Let's just get to work. Let's get to the point. But no, it matters. That stuff matters. And they were doing it way before everybody else was. And that just goes to show you how great that company is, and the people inside of it. Back to your question on things that I've learned from in my career that have made me, I'll never forget my first estimating miss on a project that got submitted. I think I was like, I don't even remember, it was like something to do with the roof. I don't remember, it was roofing, something to do with roofing. And I had like a $30,000 bust, and we lost $30,000 off the top. And I'm like, they're only paying me $45 a year. Like, I'm done. Like, this is it. Like, this is the end of my job. And I'll never forget the learning more from that, from the project manager that I was working with, the superintendent, site manager that I was working with, and making sure I understood, you know, why I made the mistake, how it was, you know, what the impact of it was, but not more importantly, how to recoup it. And we ended up recouping it through the job, and it ended up being all right. But at the time, you know, it was one of those things where like, oh, this is it. I'm gonna get fired, you know. But they took it upon themselves to make it a teaching point, you know. And it was the value of it was as much as, if not more, where I think I was making at the time. So, you know, I think that all of those experiences on how people mentored and taught me, whether I was succeeding or failing, because we all do it, really turned me into who I am today and created what I am, and try and relive that and try and replicate that every day here. So,
you know, what's interesting is that when I ask that question to people on the podcast or in general, it seems like failures or learning experiences, however you want to categorize them, it just seems like that holds a place in your mind so much more than any successes, you know.
oh yeah,
So, well, I want to give you, before we go on to our speed round, I want to go to any personal advice you'd give to anybody who's aspiring to an executive level position, who's aspiring to get in the construction industry. What kind of personal and professional advice could you give to somebody like that?
You know, I'm running into this here, you know, speaking to people trying to get into the industry or new, starting out. You know, my most valuable times and learning moments in construction were in the field. You know, I see a lot of people want to get hired out of college. They want an office. They want, you know, that cushy desk job, but it is nothing. And you will not be as good as you could be if you don't have that field experience. And, you know, I was in the field for lots of large projects, worked under some amazing site managers and superintendents, learned a tremendous amount, and just was a sponge. Just tried to learn as much as I possibly could from guys that had driver's license for the control system for the Mars rover. I mean, guys that developed, you know, launch pad, NASA guidance systems, was out there building, you know, manufacturing plants with me. And, you know, I just find those people that want to teach and can be mentors. You know, 9 times out of 10, or probably 99 times out of 100, every salty field guy that's out there that knows what he's doing, if you ask them their opinion or a question on anything, they are more than happy to tell you. They will talk your ear off to tell you what they know. If you can take in half of it, you're going to be so much better off for that. So I would say field experience, you know, just learn how to build. You know, so many times people want to be in the office and they want to be in charge of the money and they want to move up. But if you don't know how to build in the construction industry, you're toast. And I think it starts in the field. And if you can understand that and the struggles that happen day to day in the field when everything's, you know, hitting all at once, what that superintendent really truly needs and when and why, if you understand that part of it, you'll be so successful in the future. The other part towards like becoming like an executive, I kind of laughed when I read the question. I was like, am I an executive? I guess that's where I am. I don't know. How did I get here? But I think what it is it was take the risk. You know, I've had some moments in my career that were very challenging decisions for me personally, whether it was moving from one city to another, changing companies. I don't want to be somebody that jumps companies a bunch, and I don't think I have been. But when the risks come up for you to excel or grow or spread your wings a little bit further, take it. Nobody reached their goals of whatever it is they wanted to become by just maintaining and doing the status quo. You've got to get uncomfortable and be okay with that uncomfortability and talk about it. Don't bottle it up, because then you'll never sleep, and you'll probably resort to whatever kind of things you can to de-stress. But get uncomfortable, take the risk, go for it. I've done it. It hasn't been easy, but it's been worth it.
Well, and I told every student that graduated EKU is fear is the one thing that'll hold you back in your career. Your fear of change, your fear of doing something out of the norm, and it's tough and it's not easy, but change is inevitable, and either you create that change or you're on the road with the change, but fear, that's one thing that is never been really my problem, but I have to be fair here.
You a risk taker? Oh, come on now.
I know. I'm a little bit of a risk taker. Anybody who knows me and understands why I have tattoos down my arm understands that that I'm a risk taker. You don't take a risk with 5 gallons of gas and a lighter, like I did. But all right. So let's move to the speed round real quick, and so I'm going to ask you questions, and these questions I want you to rate from 1 to 10, 10 being the least important. 10 being the most important, 1 being the least important, and they could all be 10s, So it's it's up to you. So I don't want to hold you back there to be able to, and you could explain your answer obviously if you want to. So we'll start off with scheduling.
1 to 10, I would say 7.
Is there any reason you wouldn't rate it higher than that?
I think it's
because that's my heart there, brother. You tore my heart out.
I know it is. And the reason I gave it a 7 is you can't get by without it. Definitely. There's different levels of scheduling. You can have too much and you can have too little. You can get yourself in trouble on both sides. I think good constructors internally understand their schedule, but from a documentation, legal standpoint, I think that I'm probably going to talk myself up higher from a 7, but I think that's probably a good spot. I'll leave it there.
Estimating. Now you do pre-con and business development, so this one's going to be high.
I'm going to save my 10. I want to make sure I save my 10. I'm going to give this one a 9. Okay. I'm going to give this a 9, maybe like a pizza review, like a 9.5. It's if you don't start a project with the right foundation, which is estimating, you're in trouble for a long time. And that's crazy when we hard bid things and says, hey, I need a bid back in 2 weeks for a $20 million job, and you're scrambling just to figure out what's in the job, and you got to piece that thing together. So if you don't have the right estimate, the right estimating team to put the foundation in place for you to actually successfully go build that project, that's a tough spot to be in.
Contract administration. Going to go back to the Wayne Reynolds days where, it's in that class.
I spent many phone calls with our in-house attorneys, our CFOs, and going over contracts, and I will give that it's got to be a 9. And I'm still holding on to my 10. I'm holding on to my 10. I don't want to give it up yet. That is one of the most overlooked pre-construction things that I think I do on a day-to-day basis. Getting the bid, going out and doing business development, finding the work, all of that's great. But if you don't set yourself up for the right terms, and that way you can, actually execute, that's tough. That's tough.
Design.
Oh, I got to put my design build hat on now. So if I was a hard bid, it'd be different. If I was design build, it's a whole nother realm. I'm gonna give it a 8.5. I think that I think the design is, you know, again, depends on what world you're coming from. As we hard bid and we do our own in-house design build. So the design build obviously is probably a 9.9 because we are dictating our bid drawings. We are dictating what our client is handing us on a napkin sketch and trying to put that on paper. We're the artist that gets to draw and paint somebody else's vision. So, you know, it is very critical to have somebody that can do that well and interpretate what you know, somebody's vision is, that doesn't know how to build. They know how to run their business well, but they don't know how to build. That's why they hired us. It's extremely important. And then also, if you don't have a good design in a hard bid situation, it makes the execution part extremely difficult. And then you got to rely on that contract administration.
What about just contract? Talking about the paper contracts we deal with.
Oh, well, you talking about owner contracts, subcontracts,
All the above.
all the above. I'd kind of go back to my number on the contract administration. I think it goes hand in hand. I mean, it dictates, you know, it's the rules in which you have to play by. And if you don't have those clearly set with your owner, and you don't have those clearly set with your vendor partners, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. And I think that you know, they've got to be mutually beneficial. You know, you can't be one-sided. So you got to find that middle ground, you know, with your owners and your vendors, and that's can be a tough process sometimes. So I think I gave that like a 9.5 as well, something like that. And that is the rules you got to play by. Accounting?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for accounting, none of us would actually be here. So,
even though they're weird, sorry anybody who's
you know, they're wired differently. You know, they're wired differently. You know, I'd give it a 9. I think that it's you know, one of our best PMs here now actually is not a construction management major. He's an accountant. Got into construction through his family business and liked that a whole lot better. But he has the best financials of all of our projects on some of them.
But he's probably weird.
Yeah, you know, they're all a little odd. You know, I got family, you know, they stand in the corner in the family gatherings, but they, no, I think if, you know, as much that comes in, and this kind of goes back, it goes back in the contract administration, you know, protecting yourself from making sure you've got your lien waivers in place, you've got your vendors that are being paid on time, keeping people up to date on their billings. You know, a lot of it is, and my biggest struggle, and I try and preach this to a lot of our clients, is, you know, I may bill you at the end of the month for all the stuff I did in the month of August, and you're not going to pay me to the end of the next month. By the time I cut a check to the vendor, they've financed 3 months worth of materials and labor and everything else. And I think if you can have a timely, organized, and very procedural accounting department, goes a long, long way, because those vendors that are out there, you know, it's hard to buy, you know, you're talking about the guys early on site, you know, site work guys buying all the, you know, underground piping or dirt or raw materials, whatever it is that's going in real time. You know, the suppliers, they don't care. They're paid when it's delivered. And so they got to finance the job. And if you can minimize that, you're going to get a better product at the end of the day. You're going to get better buy-in from your vendor partners, which is what we all want as contractors. And then you have a happy client. So.
What about selling work? This one's going to be high for you.
You know, I think the work sells itself. At the end of the day, you know, your product is that is what you hang your hat on. You know, I 50% of my focus is sales and business development and clients. And, you know, when we're doing really well in the field, I would say it makes that so much easier. So I'm going to give that, I'll put it a 6.5 right below scheduling. So scheduling's not the bottom of Just
Oh
for
my
you.
god!
Just for
Hey,
you.
that actually surprises me a lot. But you made a very valid point there. And last but not least, and if you don't give this a 10, I don't know what's wrong with you. Leadership.
That's what I was saving my 10 for.
Okay.
That's it. The
Why do you say,
leadership
why you
is,
say 10?
if you don't have good leadership, and it's not, I don't just mean the owner of your company. If you don't have good leadership on your project teams, if you don't have good leadership on your sites, if you don't have good leadership in a bid review, and any team that is involved in any part of it, accounting, business development, any of those items you're talking about, if you don't have good leadership there and somebody that can, whether it's, lead the team into battle or mentor somebody that needs to be mentored and not, and doing it the correct way, it goes so far. A superintendent, their leadership is so vital to the success of a job. I mean, I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of. He came in, and I had a superintendent that came in with a mini Louisville Slugger bat, and he ran his meetings with a Louisville Slugger mini bat, would beat it on the table and just berate his vendor partners and subcontractors and the foremans. I'm like, well, no wonder they don't want to work for you. And that superintendent was ultimately removed from that project. And, his leadership on site was poor. He's trying to do it by intimidation almost. And I think that goes for, the CEO, president of the company. It goes for the CEO and president of that job site meeting. Whoever's running it, they're the CEO and president of that team. The project manager, when they're doing their weekly OAC calls and making sure they're leading their team there. And your lead estimator, they got a team of estimators and project managers helping them out put a bid together, making sure they know who's doing what, who's on first. And, we're general contractors, we don't actually do anything. So if you don't have the right leadership and managing your teams properly, you won't succeed. So that's got to be a 10.
Well, I want to thank you for meeting with me today, Justin. I mean, I shouldn't thank you that much. I mean, I've done you more favors than you've done me. No, I'm just joking. So
That's fair. I'll take that. I'm working my way back up.
Yeah, you are. But I just want to thank you, Justin, and I do want to say, as an former EKU professor, we're proud to have people like you out there in working under our umbrella, because you bring great credit upon the institution. Not just the EKU, but EKU's construction management. So you should commend yourself there. And I've heard a lot of good things about you over the years. You're one of my very, very first students, and you challenged me to get better, and I do appreciate that. Whether you knew you challenged me or not, you did challenge me to get better, and it definitely helped me. And I want to say about Buffalo. Buffalo has become kind of near and dear to my heart, because we have a lot of similarities the way we do business between each other. And I love Scott. I love Brett. Eric's to be desirable. No, I'm just joking, Eric. You got a good group of people, all the way till when you walk in the door and the way that you're greeted there. I mean, Buffalo, there's just something special there. There really is. And I just want to commend Scott and Brett and them for kind of, leading that organization that way. So I want to give you a chance to say whatever you want to say. You have the last word.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the kind words, the opportunity to chat about our industry. It's I remember when you first started at EKU, I think I designed a little house or it was a 4-walled building with I can't even remember what it is. You had me do it for extra credit or whatever. And, ever since that, I think I needed the extra credit, to be honest with you, is why I did it. But
that's no joke. No, I'm just joking.
Likewise, you've pushed me to be better, to want more. I tell this to a lot of people that want to get into construction management. I went into EKU's program thinking I'd just do this and go back home and build houses. You taught me that, no, you can take that foundation, you can go build anything. The sky's the limit. You told me to go to Dubai. Why not? Go do it. Go build a skyscraper in Dubai. And I applied for those jobs. I tried to do that. I ended up building manufacturing plants that are state of the art for some of the biggest manufacturers in the world. And now I'm building, for some of the biggest brands in the world right now, and and repeat clients. So I thank you. You've helped me all along the way, and you've always been a sounding board to me. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Well, that's what it's about. It's about those relationships. And I just, once again, I want to thank you. I want to thank Buffalo, and I want to thank you for giving an hour of your time today. And last but not least, join us next week for another CONEXEC podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott.